Sigarda, host of Herons, versus Krenko mob boss. Yeah, yet another commander that I have on my to-do list. Miri's Guile makes that a little bit better, especially when we will have a fetch in hand to shuffle things up if we don't like the top three. So we'll keep that. Okay, drawing to a Sterling Grove, we'll just get down a Savannah and get down the Miri's Guile. Miri's Guile, at the beginning of our upkeep, we can look at the top three cards of our library and reorganise them. So we decide what we draw into. Sigarda, host of Herons, is a 5-mana 5/5 with flying and hexproof. Spells and abilities our opponents control can't cause us to sack permanents. We'll get into the Guile now. And hopefully put something decent on top. Darksteel Mutation might be of some use. And Heliod's Pilgrim is useful as well. So let's go for... We'll draw into the Darksteel Mutation. We'll play a Plains. And then we can just get down the Sterling Grove right now. Not too worried about having Shroud on our enchantments because we're against a mono red deck, but you never know, they might run Spine of Ishtar or Meteor Golem. Wouldn't have thought so in a Krenko deck. This tends to be Goblin Tribal. In fact, I don't know if it could be anything other than Goblin Tribal. Tap and create X red Goblin tokens, where X is the number of goblins you control. That's 4 mana for a 3/3. There's an Imperial Recruiter that we'll grab a goblin from our opponent's deck, no doubt. Might be a haste enabler of some kind. Yep, Goblin War Chief makes Krenko cost 1 less and gives them haste. Okay, Temple Garden. Yeah, I think just drawing into the Temple Garden is okay for now. I'd like to play the Heliod's Pilgrim, but we can guarantee a land drop this way. So let's go in for that tapped and just throw it over to our opponent. We're going to just go a little bit slower in this game by the looks of it. I don't think our opponent can get down their Lord and Krenko this turn. Not the end of the world if they can. Darksteel Mutation onto Krenko is going to be quite nice. Not only does it remove all the abilities of Krenko, but it also means that Winds of Wrath will get around it. Destroy all creatures that aren't enchanted. They can't be regenerated, so we'll destroy everything other than Krenko with that. It's quite a nice little interaction we can go for. And if by the time we're casting Winds of Wrath we have our Sigarda enchanted, then even better. But something tells me we're going to be... Yep, our opponent's got down both Goblin Warchief and Krenko. Surprised they haven't... they're attacking him with Krenko, that's curious. I would think they would have tapped down Krenko to get 3 goblins and then swung in with those, but apparently not. Okay, deciding to just tap down the Krenko in response to anything that we have apparently. Yeah, I do just want to keep making the land drops, so we'll go for the Misty Rainforest. And we will Darksteel Mutation that Krenko. They can tap in response. But we are probably going to Winds of Wrath next turn. That will destroy all the creatures that aren't enchanted. But like I say, Krenko will be enchanted, so it won't destroy him. But the Darksteel Mutation makes the enchanted creature indestructible anyway. So it wouldn't be destroyed either way. Now, 3 cards in our opponent's hand, and we'll see if they have a Lord that will buff all of these things. Okay, Phyrexian Altar, Mana Generator. They can sack all their goblins for mana if they want to. Nope, just swinging in with everything, including the 0/1 indestructible Krenko. And we're down to 16. But I have to imagine... Ah, no, completely forgot. Yeah, Phyrexian Altar allows our opponent to sacrifice the Krenko, which gets around that Darksteel Mutation. Okay. And then Beetleback Chief. Yeah, there's a little bit of sequencing error going on here, I think. They could have done this before combat to buff the Foundry Street Denizen, which gets +1 to its attack every time another creature enters. Another red creature. I think we're definitely going for the Winds of Wrath, because our opponent only has one card left in hand. Okay, and they're going for a Wheel of Fortune, so apparently we're not going for that. Now, we have some cards on top. The Sterling Grove. I think we need to put a prison effect on top with Sterling Grove in that case. And then we'll just have to hope. Well, why don't we crack this fetch first? Yeah, we just have to hope that we get into another board wipe of some kind. And we'll probably go for Ghostly Prison here. Yep, that's a really good wheel by our opponent, because we were going to wipe the board next turn, and I don't think they would have recovered from that anytime soon. Okay, we've got the Ghostly Prison, we've got a land to play, that's good. And then we have Life Gain, Battle Mastery. Yeah, if we can survive a few turns... I don't know if I even want to go for the Ghost Quarter. Or the Ghostly Prison, not the Ghost Quarter. Okay, I think what we want to do here then is... Yeah, we'll get down the Overgrowth. I think we can go Overgrowth and Ghostly Prison. So let's go Command Tower. And that way we can get down Sigarda and an Armadillo Cloak next turn and start gaining some life when our opponent swings in. I'm just hoping we can survive until next turn. Yeah, if we had another mana, I'd like to go for Journey to Nowhere onto this thing, just to keep the haste from coming through, but... Yeah, I'm just hoping that our opponent can't... Yeah, they might actually... Now that I think about it, they might be able to go for Krenko. Tap down with Krenko, and then use the goblins generated to generate mana in order to get the goblins through. Yeah, so maybe the Journey to Nowhere onto the Haste Enabler would have been a better idea. But then we're not setting ourselves up for next turn in order to get down Sigarda with Lifelink. Well, there's a load of mana anyway. Koth of the Hammer is -2. Generate red for each mountain you control. And then this came down, did it? Equal to the number of creatures you control, yeah. I think our opponent might have us here. One card in our opponent's hand. But is that all they're swinging in with? Oh, they've also got down a Magus of the Moon. So yeah, I think our opponent definitely has us here. We really needed to get that board wipe down. Yeah, let's just go for the Lignify. I think our opponent has us now, but we'll tap that down. Go for the Journey to Nowhere onto the Magus of the Moon. That makes all our non-basics mountains, by the way. One thing you've always got to be wary of against a red opponent, because in 1v1 they do like to play things like that. Okay, sacking it in response. So they might be able to do something with that red mana. Yeah, and we're struggling on mana ourselves, so I think we just have to go for Lignify. I think we're done either way. But we'll just try and get rid of this big goblin. Don't know if I've ever seen this before. Battle Squadron. A flying goblin for 5. Power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. Yeah, we'll just throw it back over to our opponent. I think we're done now. We'll give them the satisfaction of swinging in if they don't play around too much. As far as I'm aware, all they have to do here is play Krenko, tap it down for goblins, and then sack those for mana to get through the Ghostly Prison. Yeah, that's 6 damage being dealt to us. So that's a really good showing from Krenko. That is, yeah, one of the better showings I've seen from Krenko in a while. So that is really good to see that. Krenko Mob Boss versus Sigarda, host of Herons. Hope you all enjoyed that one. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.